Pleasant Prairie Police Department. With me is Sergeant Hunter of Pleasant Prairie Police Department and Sergeant Riley of the Pleasant Prairie Police Department. We are here at the Jensen home, located at 9020 First Avenue. I'm in here in the hallway, showing outside. As you can see, the security officers are there. That is Officer Pelkey. Panning around, we pan on the living quarters with Sergeant Riley and Sergeant Hunter. We were called this afternoon for a death investigation. Now going down the hallway to the room. Sergeant Hunter, my phone is ringing as we're taping, and Sergeant Hunter will be answering the phone. I'm in the bedroom to scan everything. As you can see, there is a female body on the bed, which has been disturbed by the firefighters. This here is the nightstand next to it. You have to, my acrobatics here haven't been that well. Adjusting the camera here as I'm looking. I wanted to focus in on some of the items that were found. And again, this is one of these smaller cameras, a little hard to operate here. This is the bedroom. Also, now turn on the light, give you anything more that's necessary to see. The body, which at this point we haven't seen anything unusual with it, although we have yet to examine it in any great detail. Sergeant Riley also found a diary of the deceased, which was located in this cabinet in the bedroom. Other items that are around. I'm now entering the bathroom. The house is rather clean, well kept, nice home. Haven't noticed anything at this point. There was some remarks about the clock, that it was still wet, and the shower area. Feel of the clock here by me, Paul Radsford, is getting damp. This one here, this feels dry, and this one also damp. The window was found open, auto screen was attached, I checked it on the outside, and there was no sign of any forced entry. We're leaving the bedroom now. Now entering the children's room, photographing, recording the condition that we found it in. Pretty much a standard child's room. Now I'm drawing a shot down the hallway, the kitchen, and Dad will do. Kitchen area, there's a cabinet with a lot of prescription items in it. We will be taking all of that. Located this here inside the, it was open this up, there was one that found that you were missing on this. And my apologies for the shaking that's here. I'm trying to do 3-4 things at once. And trying to get everything recorded here. You notice there's macaroni and cheese in the bedroom. Along here with the garbage can in here. I would note that I think that macaroni and cheese might be somewhat older, maybe this morning or last night, because there is garbage on top of it, as you notice, along with an orange. There is the police department camera kit. Other than that, everything else is pretty much found where we found it, or where we found it. This is a meal addressed to Julie and Mark Jensen from the Kohl's department store. And a copy of the newspaper, which of course is today's Thursday, December 3rd. Going over towards the bin, photographing items in there. Be turning off the light now, we'll save on some juice here. The briefcase there that's located right in front of me here. Sergeant Hunter found some material that you laid out on the desk, which we'll be looking further into. As we have been going through the room here. I'm just panning around. This is the den area at the Jensen home, located at 9020 First Avenue, Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin. And now leaving the den and into the bathroom. Towel, it's kind of damp, no distinct buttons to it. Toys in the bathtub. Finishing there, we'll be now be going to the garage area. So, some of the items here. This is the garage area, December 3rd, 1998, of the Jensen home. I did find in going through some of the vehicles, you see the doors still open, and what I believe to be this Jensen's automobile, with somewhat of a resume in there. I'm not sure if it has any relevance at all. I'm assuming the white vehicle is Mark Jensen's vehicle, and I'm walking outside of the garage here to get a better look at it. Note that I had a conversation with Officer Cosman. Myself and Officer Cosman have communicated with Ms. Jensen in the past about some of her concerns. And he informed me that Julie told her, when he last spoke with her, that he keeps photos and videotapes in the garage on a shelf. I haven't been able to examine this area thoroughly yet, but I will, and if there's anything that I find, I will know. Again, the Jensen home, December 3rd, 1998, in the garage area. I'm turning on the light again just a little more. Garbage cans are put out. Appears to be in the garbage. I haven't gone through it yet, but some type of case. Some mailings, for light, looks like the garage door that it fits up there. The recycle bin, parts of the garage door, which is obviously,
I'll try to focus in on that. You can see that
the vehicles, of course, is plate M-Line 3DS. The other is on the Suburban, or appears to be a Suburban type vehicle, Yukon. It's SBM 875. Kind of looking at the garbage, I'm not sure if this has anything at this point. Again, I haven't searched through it. I've also checked the outer perimeter of the home and found no signs of any type of forced entry or anything like that. Now the entry to the basement. Just going to get this because I can't shoot and walk downstairs at the same time. Let me turn off the light again here. Looks like your standard average basement. Fuse box, microwave, and all this, and back here by the stairs. I'm just kind of doing a general pan with the light there on. And looking back upstairs and into the garage and into the home. Still in the basement. Generally photographing or videotaping the property and items. Been disturbed very little, with the exception of what I pointed out earlier. This is the freezer. And this light might be getting a little low, but it's over here in the basement. When you get a fire, turn on the light here. Pretty much items in the basement. I'm going to focus around here to the workbench. And it's a general pan of things where it just went through. Kids' items there, big. Exercise machine. And again, general and what we just viewed. Now we're returning back upstairs. And then I'll indicate if anything, any relevance further, so we'll turn it back on. Thank you. It is now December 3rd, 7:46 p.m. 7:46 p.m. Paul Ransford. Thank you. It's Paul Ransford speaking. It is now December 3rd, 1998. 9:58 p.m. Just going to run a video camera here of the houses before we leave it, make sure we covered everything, and make sure that everything is in order, so to speak. Again, going through the hallway here, kind of scan things. Somebody who did take was a folder of Dan Jensen that was in his briefcase. The computer, which was located underneath the table. We just took the CPU, just scanned things in here. Children's room, which we really didn't take anything from. We just go through all the rooms apart. The master bedroom. Dan Jensen did come here. I removed the change of clothes for tomorrow. He took a pair of jeans from up there. He also had a shaving kit, which was completely intact and ready to go, which he just zippered up and took with him, which was located right down there in the master bathroom area. He also took a pair of socks. Again, I'm just scanning the floor. This is how we're leaving the household. He took a pair of white socks, which are located right in the door here. Those were the items he took. Being of a suspicious mind, I thought it was kind of unusual that he had shaving kit all together in one. So be it. Bathroom. We did pull all the drains on the sink to let you know that they're back, secure, tested, and not leaked. We also did that for the kitchen sink. Kitchen. You take that, and in this drawer, I'm about to show you, we did find a note. Now it's top shelf. Well, also taken for a variety of Playboy magazines, which were located in the garage on the shelf. They were located right there. There's a whole stack of them. We've also been secured the whole house. Everything's been locked. As you can see, this door here is with the bolt going to the left. Dan provided us a house key so we can keep it absolutely locked for the officers to protect it overnight. And that should end things. December 3rd, 1998. I'll ask for recording.
Your Honor, that was exhibit S-148, and I don't recall if we moved it into evidence, but if we haven't, moved it to evidence.
Hasn't it been received?
Yes.
Received.
Yes.
Your Honor, the state would recall Rhonda Mitchell to the stand.
You're still in roll.
Ms. Mitchell, you testified earlier in this case,
Yes.
and at one point, you had been asked some questions about, was it doubleclick.com?
That was part of it, yes.
Well, Mr. Albee had been asking you questions about third-party cookies,
Correct.
and you evinced a lack of knowledge about third-party cookies.
Yes and no. I agreed with him on some things that he said and said that I wasn't sure on others. I believe.
Okay. I'll direct council's attention to page 2 of the transcript file excerpts. Line 4, and this is a questioning by Mr. Albee. If you recall being asked the following question and giving the following answer. Question, have you ever seen, for example, when you were doing your forensic examinations, doubleclick.com? Answer, in history. Question, correct. Answer, I believe so. Do you recall that, those questions and answers being posed to you?
Yes.
And then the following question. Question, do you believe that that's a site that people go to? Answer, I don't know what doubleclick.com is. Do you remember that question and answer?
I believe so.
And then the question is, well, aren't there companies that use cookies to try to keep track of internet traffic and how often people go to certain sites? Answer, yes. You were being posed a question, giving that answer?
I think so, yes.
Question, and they install cookies for third parties, right? Answer, I suppose that's true, yes.
Yes.
And then, and sometime after that, there was a break, correct?
I'm not sure when the break was, but there was a break at some point, yes.
And there was discussion of an order, correct? Do you remember that?
Correct.
There was a what order?
There was a question about an order being issued by the court.
Okay, go ahead.
And during the break, about you not speaking with me, and I'm not supposed to speak with you during the break. Do you remember that?
That was part of it.
Then there was a redirect examination by me. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And you recall being asked the following question, giving the following answer. Question, then at 12/2/98 at 2:34:23 a.m., it says cookie buddy at doubleclick.net. Would you tell the jury what that means or what that is if you know? Answer, that would be the third-party cookie that Mr. Albee was referring to earlier in this cross-examination. Question, so explain what a third-party cookie is. Answer, it's a tracking device that the internet or that certain web pages might use to follow your interests on the internet. Question, okay, that's what DoubleClickNet is? Answer, yes. Do you recall being asked those questions and giving those answers?
Yes.
And then during the recross by Mr. Albee, do you recall being asked the following question and giving the following answer? And counsel, as soon as I find it, I'll tell you what it is. Line 10, page 10. Do you recall being asked the following question? Question, now on cross I asked you about third-party cookies and you weren't familiar with them. Answer, correct. And then Mr. Jamboys asked you a question, and you gave a definition of third-party cookies. Answer, that's correct. Question, how did that come about? Answer, I got thinking, and I went through some of the internet history, and through that, and through what you had talked to me about, raised some recollection in my mind. Question, and did you talk to somebody else about third-party cookies then? Answer, no. Now, at some point between the time where Mr. Albee had asked you about third-party cookies and I asked you about third-party cookies, did you speak to any other person about third-party cookies?
Yes, I did.
And who was the person that you spoke to about third-party cookies?
Brad Montgomery.
And who is Brad Montgomery?
He's a special agent with the Division of Criminal Investigations.
So sometime after Mr. Albee asked you about that, and sometime before I asked you about that, you'd spoken to Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
And did you disclose to anybody that you'd spoken to Mr. Montgomery? Did you tell me, for example?
No, I did not.
Okay. And now, when Mr. Albee asked you, did you talk to anybody about third-party cookies? You replied no. Is that so?
According to the transcript.
Yeah. And can you explain to the jury why you said no when in fact you'd spoken to Brad Montgomery about it?
Absolutely. When the question was posed to me, what I recall was Mr. Albee asking me if I had spoke with anyone. And I seem to recall a pause, and I'm not positive, it was late in the day. I thought the reference to did I speak to anybody was referring to the specific 3 people that I was told not to speak to, meaning Mr. Jambois, Miss Gabrielle, and Marty Cook, who is a computer person. That's what I thought the question, that was my interpretation of the question.
You see in retrospect that your interpretation of the question appears to be overly narrow.
Pardon me?
Do you see in retrospect that your interpretation of that question appears to be overly narrow?
Yes.
Since the question was, did you speak to anybody about third-party cookies?
Correct.
And of course, speaking to me about third-party cookies would have been pretty useless anyway, since I don't know anything about them, right?
Right.
So you spoke to Brad Montgomery, and he told you about third-party cookies, correct?
Yes.
He told you what they were.
I object to the leading.
Sustained.
Well, you spoke to Brad Montgomery,
Yes.
and what did you and Brad Montgomery talk about?
I asked him what a third-party cookie was, and he gave what I recall from that conversation was I had an idea of what they were. It wasn't positive, and when Brad started to tell me what they were, I knew what I was thinking was correct. He started to go on about it. I cut him off. I said, I've got to go. I'm due back in court.
Now, before Brad Montgomery answered that question, did he express any concerns about you talking to him?
Yes.
What did he say to you?
He asked me if I was sequestered.
And what did you tell him?
I told him no,
And that's correct, you were not sequestered, were you?
according to you, and as far as I knew, yes.
The
That's
expert
correct.
witnesses in this case were not sequestered, according to what I had told you, correct?
Correct.
And so as after you explained to Mr. Montgomery that you were not sequestered, he then gave you the definition of a third-party cookie?
Yes.
Is there anything else that you can tell the jury about the conversation that occurred between you and Brad Montgomery, or about your examination, either by Mr. Albee or myself, concerning third-party cookies as you're sitting here today? Or have I plumbed the depths of your recollection on this issue?
I, without specifically questioning me on something, I guess I don't recall anything other than that.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Mr. Albee?
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Mitchell, during my examination, I asked you if you knew what a third-party cookie was, right?
Correct.
you said, "I don't know," right?
I believe at some point I may have answered that way.
And that was when I first asked you what a third-party cookie was, right?
Correct.
And then I gave you some examples of what I believed might constitute a third-party cookie, such as double-click, right?
Correct.
And after I gave you those examples, you acknowledged that you can have a cookie on your computer for a site that you've never been to, right?
Correct.
Then then there was the break that Mr. Jamboys was referring to, correct?
I believe so.
Well, that's when there was this discussion about who you could talk to and who you could not talk to, correct?
Correct.
And you recall me expressing the concern that I stated in the court that, quote, this is page 5, lines 3 to 5, "My concern is that a witness will be told what answers the prosecution didn't like during cross, and things will be fixed." Do you recall me making that statement?
Briefly, maybe. I'm not sure if I recall that or if I read it in the transcript.
Then you spoke with Mr. Montgomery, right?
Yes.
And you asked him what a third-party cookie was, right?
Correct.
Did you ask him any other questions to try to clarify your testimony?
No.
The only one you were concerned about at that time is asking what a third-party cookie was?
It was just bothering me. I thought I knew what it was, and actually, you were the one that refreshed my memory, or kind of, not refreshed it, kind of, I answered the question, "I don't know," because I wasn't sure. You had brought up some things that I was on track with, and I just wanted to make sure. I didn't call him to correct my testimony. I just called for peace of mind. It was driving me crazy.
Well, Mr. Montgomery, during that telephone conversation, explained to you that a third-party cookie is generally a cookie issued by a marketing or advertising type web-based company such as doubleclick.com, correct?
I'll be very honest. I don't recall most of what Mr. Montgomery said to me. I remember him saying that it was a third party, or basically that it was a company within a website that would, help track your interests or habits. That was what my thought process was on it. So kind of, I'll be honest, after he got past that, I just didn't really pay real close attention.
Did Mr. Montgomery explain to you that what happens is when a person goes to a website, that website may have banner ads supplied by a third party?
He may have.
Did Mr. Montgomery tell you that the website leaves spaces for these banner ads to be placed by the third-party advertising company?
He may have.
Did Mr. Montgomery tell you that each time a person visits any of the websites that are clients of the third party, a cookie is used by that third party to track the browsing habits of that person using the web browser?
He may have. He said something to that effect.
Did Mr. Montgomery tell you that the third-party advertising company uses these third-party cookies to determine a user's browsing habits and interest, and then supplies advertisements directed toward what that user might be interested in?
That part I remember pretty well, yeah.
On page 6, line 15, Mr. Jamboys asked you question. Then at 12/2/1998 at 2:34:23 a.m., it says cookiebuddy@doubleclick.net. Would you tell the jury what that means or what that is if you know? Answer, that would be the third-party cookie that Mr. Albee was referring to earlier during his cross-examination. Question, so explain what a third-party cookie is. And that's the answer that you couldn't give when I asked you, correct?
Correct, I wasn't sure at that point.
Answer, it is a tracking. It's a tracking device that the internet or that certain web pages might use to follow your interests on the internet, correct?
I guess so.
Is that what you'd view as sort of a textbook answer for what a third-party cookie is?
Not at all.
Is that part of the information given to you by Mr. Montgomery?
His explanation was probably much more technical. I was just stating what I previously had thought and phrased it in my own terms, I guess.
Now, that same day, I had a chance to ask you some more questions, correct?
Yes?
I mean, that is, these questions all took place on the same day regarding third-party cookies, correct?
I believe so.
And I asked you, page 10, line 10, question. Now on cross, I asked you about third-party cookies and you weren't familiar with them. Answer, correct. Question, and then Mr. Jamboys asked you a question and you gave a definition of third-party cookies. Answer, that's correct. And at that point, it was clear that what I was getting at is that you had some newfound information, right?
Correct.
And you recognize that when I asked the next question, which was, how did that come about, right?
Well, actually, I didn't perceive it as newfound information. I perceived it as I verified with somebody what I thought it was in a very general sense.
Your answer was, when I said, how did that come about? You said, I got thinking and I went through some of the internet history and through what you had talked to me about, raised some recollection in my mind.
That's correct.
That wasn't entirely true, was it?
That is all entirely true.
Well, it was the conversation with Mr. Montgomery that allowed you to give your definition of third-party cookie, true?
Made me more confident about it.
Confident enough to testify about it under oath, correct?
Correct.
And then I asked you a question, and did you talk to somebody else about third-party cookies then? And you said no.
That's correct.
And that wasn't true.
That's correct.
And I didn't restrict my question to did you talk to Miss Gabrielle or Mr. Jamboys or Marty Cook, did I?
No.
Now, after your testimony, did you let Mr. Jamboys or Miss Gabrielle know that you had testified falsely?
No, because I didn't think I did.
Mr. Montgomery thought you had testified falsely, true?
Objection, public speculation is part of this witness.
This matter, your understanding is this matter came to the attention of the district attorney's office because Mr. Montgomery pointed it out, true?
True.
And that he raised this issue in the Department of Justice because of his concerns that you had said no to the question of whether you had consulted someone else.
Objection, Your Honor, for this witness to testify as to what motivated Mr. Montgomery.
Sustained.
You only came forward with the information that you had testified falsely after someone else alerted the prosecutors, true?
True.
No further questions.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
You may step down.
Your Honor, it's 11 minutes to 5. There's no witnesses on tap, which we could finish in 11 minutes or even get a reasonable start on.
All right. In honor of Ms. Stromish, is that right? Am I pronouncing it right? Well, whatever. Birthday, we're going to break early, and please enjoy the evening. Don't talk about the case, nor listen to, watch, or read any media account. And happy birthday. What's up for tomorrow, so we can get an advance notice of what we're going to be squabbling about tomorrow?
Well, I don't anticipate any stalls tomorrow.
Oh, wonderful.
And I haven't had a chance to talk with Ms. Gabrielle about that. We do have Officer Cosman, we have Puerto Rico, Officer Dan Riley, We have a couple of ladies from the office, the Stephen Nicholas office. See, what day is tomorrow? Thursday. Bernard Bush. And there could possibly be more. I'll make sure we don't run out of witnesses, Your Honor.
And
By the way, I mean, if it comes to 10 to 5 or something like that, I mean, ordinarily, we're going to break for the day at 10 to 5. We're not going to put another witness on the stand, are we?
Not typically, unless we are running way behind, in which case my admonitions of yesterday should be seriously considered. And I expect you to forewarn me at any time it appears that we will in fact run past a total for the entire trial of 8 weeks.
Okay,
Sound the warning early.
And how many weeks are we in right now?
We've just completed the 14th day of trial. 2.5, well, basically 3 weeks we've had so far.
Oh, I don't think we're going to go for 8 weeks. But I haven't seen.
That's for the whole
what
case.
is going to present, so.
Okay.
is there any other way, Judge, again, and Mr. Jamboys has been very helpful in this regard. I do have a number of boxes, and so I'm just trying to determine if there are any other likely witnesses, and also if we'd have any issues. I don't think there are any issues to raise with these witnesses. I guess there's one thing that does come to mind. On Bernard Bush, there's an issue similar to one that was raised with one of the prior inmate witnesses. I think maybe it was Mr. Clanton, of Mr. Bush saying something to Mr. Jensen like, "Did you do it?" or something like that. I don't have it in front of me right now. And Mr. Jensen not responding. And I think the court's ruling last time was that that was not an adoptive admission. That was admissible. And I think we have the same issue here with Mr.
That was admissible?
No, you said it was not admissible.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and so I think that issue comes up with Mr. Bush, and so that's the only thing I know of.
I don't think I was going to ask that question of Mr. Bush in view of, I mean, that wasn't a recollection of the court's ruling. I didn't agree with it then, I don't agree with it now, but I accepted it. And I wasn't planning on asking Mr. Bush those questions. I truly don't anticipate any unusual issues tomorrow. And as far as counsel's, it is true that I've been trying to advise Mr. Albee of the day's next witnesses. I've tried to be accurate in that regard, and things change. And they won't change in the sense of my trying to be accurate, but things change in the sense that I'll tell him one thing on one day, and then the next day, because of an alteration, an unavailable witness, something changes. But I expect that we're going to be proceeding in the manner which I just described with witnesses tomorrow, and if that changes, and as soon as I find out that it changes, I would notify Mr. Albee. And I have done that, and he will tell you, I've done that. I've repeatedly called him in the evening.
Right.
I know where he's staying.
I have no complaints about that so far. Is there, if you get another witness?
Well, we also don't know how Dr. Mayland is doing this. I know that Dr. Mayland was sick in bed when I talked to her earlier this week. She was having the flu, and she was supposed to have met with Ms. Gabrielle and myself on Monday, and she was unable to make it because she was sick. Now, I hope she's better and that she can meet with us at some point, but I have not had an opportunity to meet with Dr. Mayland. Furthermore, Your Honor, we may end up calling Marty Cook as part of our case in chief. We haven't decided on that yet because of
Call whom? I didn't hear.
Marty Cook. He's the other forensic computer analyst. We may end up deciding to call him as part of our case in chief, but that would not lengthen the trial because we were certainly planning on calling him as in rebuttal capacity anyway, so it will shorten up his rebuttal testimony if there's any necessary.
Well, I would need a couple days' notice on that because my understanding was that he would only be in rebuttal, and I don't have a summary of what he would testify to.
Well, I'm not going to worry about it unless it becomes an issue. So, all right.
Okay, Your Honor, there's one thing. Counsel still has our Bernard Bush CD and transcript. So we gave you the only copy.
I put the transcript in your bill.
Oh, you did? Okay, then he doesn't anymore.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, I'll give them back their stuff.
All right, as your reward, you can take the rest of the day off.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.